And multiplayer on Max Payne 3 was always planned from the start. I mean, Remedy wanted to do it back in the Max Payne 2 days and didn't quite have the resources to do it, I guess. So when we started doing Max Payne 3, it was always part of our plan to do multiplayer. There's Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch, which are your classic, leaderboard, arena action-based games. Then we have Payne Killer, which is based on Dead Man Walking from the early Max Payne games, where it's Max and Passos fighting off against the rest of the players in the game. They have special abilities and powers to kind of even up the odds. But it's kind of hectic, free-for-all, King of the Hill style title. And then we have Gang Wars, which is our signature mode, and that's essentially five rounds. And with each round, there's a narrative element. Now, it's very important to us to bring a narrative element into multiplayer because it's so important in Max Payne. That's kind of one of the key things about Max Payne, a game that had a very strong narrative. So we wanted to bring that to multiplayer, and we wanted to explore narrative in multiplayer, which is quite an interesting space to be, I think. So one of the things we want to address in multiplayer is that feeling of anonymity you have. You don't really know who you're fighting with often, and who's in the game. One of the ways we've done that is the vendetta system, and that allows, if you've been killed twice by a player on the other team, that allows you to make a vendetta against them. And the vendetta, you'll see them on the mini. If you spot them, they'll be called out on the minimap differently. You'll see them. They have an icon above them, and you're basically laying down a challenge. You're saying you're going to kill them. And if you kill them, you get a big XP bonus. But of course, they can kill you, and they get the XP bonus. Now, we want to open the game up for players who might want to play multiplayer gaming, but are put off with the Twitch competitive nature of other multiplayer games. We have two very different aiming modes. We have soft lock and free aim. And so the soft lock is, it allows you to lock onto targets and it tracks them for you. And the free aim is totally free, and you have to track the target. And we've balanced all of the weapons and all of the cameras separately for both modes. So we think you'll find a compelling, balanced experience playing whatever mode you want to play. There's a trend in shooters to have this RPG element, and that's something we recognised, and we wanted to take a bit further. So we have a class system which is incredibly open. We have obviously a large range of weapons, a large range of items that will give you secondary abilities, and we have a range of bursts, about a dozen bursts, that give you special powers as well. You can use them to spend adrenaline. So bullet time is the obvious burst, but then there's another load that are based on themes in single player. And players are free to match any of these items and bursts within their loadout, and with the only limiter being the weight of their character. Now, weight will affect stamina, and which is how far and fast you can sprint, and it will also affect your health regen. And you've got a lot of choices. You've got weeks and weeks of experimenting to find your best one, and of course there'll be a range of telemetry and stats to help you understand how these affect your playstyle. So there are 6 factions in multiplayer, and you will see them in the single player game. We've taken them across. There are 4 Brazilian ones and 2 New York ones. The player can unlock each faction to customize. So, and when you play a Gang Wars or a Team Deathmatch game where you're playing faction against faction, if you've customized a character in that faction, you'll play that character. And it's really important to us that you identify with who you are in a third-person game. And it's one of the strengths, I think, of a third-person game, that you get to know who you are. And there's plenty of times we'll call that out in the game, if you're a winner, or you've done a great thing in the round, or we're calling you out to be the assassination target. We show your avatar. So it's important that you have a lot of customization options. There's a whole range of unlocks that go with that. I think Max Payne lends itself to multiplayer gaming incredibly well. It's a fast-paced, third-person combat game. There's nothing unusual about that in the multiplayer game. And I think to avoid the tacked-on issue, first of all, you have to have a lot of integrity. You have to look at the source material that you're basing it on, and you have to take a lot of inspiration from that and make sure you're true to that. But also, we spent a long time. This is a finely crafted game. We spent a long time doing the multiplayer experience. So, yeah, it's anything but tacked on.